Audiovalve. The German Audiovalve is the company of Mr. Helmut Becker, a man with a passion for tube technology and a whole lot of working experience. During his military service, he became a radar technician where, among other things, he learned to understand and operate large tubes such as magnetrons, tyratrons and klystrons. After this, he completed his studies in telecommunications technology and developed air warning systems. In 1979, he started working with medical technology. Becker's creative mind produced numerous groundbreaking ideas and products. The results of this work can even be seen in numerous patents. As if his workload and success were not already enough, Becker also wanted to leave his mark on the world of audio tube amplifiers. He often drew on technical symbioses between several generations of electronics and electrical engineering. Today, he is over 60 years old and looks back on his fundamental and extensive knowledge and life's work which go right back to the beginnings of tube technology. According to Mr. Becker, you can be sure of one thing: much of what our forefathers were familiar with was far better than what is being sold to you today as technical progress, because today, the industry is only interested in profit. Audiovalve doesn't only produce headphone amplifiers, but they also produce DACs, preamps, power amps and integrated amplifiers. For today's review we'll be looking at the Audiovalve SOLARIS, their top-of-the-line headphone amplifier. The SOLARIS. The Audiovalve SOLARIS was launched early 2016 and it is based on their legendary RKV Mark II, since 1982, and it sports Russian ECL85, 6F5P, tubes and OPA 134. While we're looking at its headphone capability, this amplifier actually also serves as a speaker amp and it even has an integrated phono section. The Audiovalve SOLARIS does come with a remote that will allow you to set the volume. All the other settings have to be done manually on the front. The SOLARIS is a very powerful amp, see specs, but a headphone protector reliably protects the headphones from pulses that can occur when switching the amplifier on or off. The outputs of the amplifier are shorted for this time both on power as in both cases. The SOLARIS puts out between 8 watts and 12 watts depending on the output used. The SOLARIS is extremely versatile and the number of inputs and outputs is very impressive to say the least. We'll go into detail on both the in and outputs in the layout section below, but how many headphone amplifiers do you know that not only have single-ended and a balanced output, but also one for electrostat headphones like stacks? According to Audiovalve, this is the one and only headphone amplifier on the market that is able to drive all standard headphone loads, starting from 3 ohm up to 145 k ohm. This is a do-it-all amplifier, that's for sure. If you're also looking for a DAC, then there's the option to add an integrated DAC to your SOLARIS. Our version does not have this option, but no, it's a possibility. Tube galore. The tubes used inside the SOLARIS are ECL85 type tubes, and they are also known as 6F5P, Russian. I tried sourcing some of these in my local shops but they seem hard to find where I live. The ECL85 is purpose-designed for frame generation and television receivers. The triode provides the oscillator and the pentode is optimized for pulse output operation into the magnetic load of the scanning coils. More info can be found here, www.rtype.org web link. Several online tube shops do offer these Russian tubes however, and you can even buy spares from Audiovalve directly. www.audiovalve.info web link. These aren't the most sexy looking power tubes but Audiovalve uses 8 of them, 4 per channel, on the inside of the amp. With the SOLARIS design, the 8 tubes are visible from the front and they give the amplifier a powerful and impressive look. Design, build quality. You either love or hate the typical design of the SOLARIS but it does look impressive. The amplifier comes in a black and white version and all the internal parts are visible from the outside. Mr. Becker chose to use a case with a raster design which lets you see the inside of the unit and of course it also helps in cooling down the amp. On the front of the amplifier you have a big glass window which allows you to look at the inside, and more precise the tube setup. I do like this design overall, which some call steampunk, but I wouldn't go that far. To be honest, I'm not 100% convinced of the look of the chrome selector switches and buttons on that pretty black case, but that's personal taste. The Solaris is perfectly built using quality components only, and it measures about 36 cm by 32 cm by 14 cm. That means it's not the smallest of amps, and it does weigh an impressive 10 kg. The amplifier looks and feels very robust, and I can't see it breaking down in any way. The amplifier had already been burned in and used before it was shipped to me, but all the buttons and switches still feel brand new. When you buy an amplifier in this price range, you just expect everything to be perfect, and I can gladly say it couldn't be any better. Amp layout. Front. On the top left side on the front you have the 3+1 jacks for headphones, two 6.3mm single-ended jacks, one 4-pin XLR output and one typical electrostat output. You can use the SE and XLR output at the same time. Below the headphone jacks on the left side you find the IMP-OTL-stacks selection switch. Use the IMP mode if you have a low impedance headphones, down to 30 ohms, the OTL mode if you have high impedance headphones such as some Sennheiser and Beyer dynamic headphones, and of course there's the stacks setting when you're using stacks. If you intend to use speakers, those are supported in IMP mode only. On the right of this switch you have the gain switch, which offers you a gain rise of 8 decibels. Its gain is useful in all modes when your music source doesn't deliver a high enough audio signal level. The switch next to it lets you select the source you want to listen to. There are a total of 4+1 RCA inputs to your disposal. Input 1 plus 2 also support XLR signals, see below. Input 5 is occupied by the built-in phono module. In the middle you find the big volume dial, next to it the balance dial, and the power button is on the most right side. It might seem a lot, but it's actually very easy to work with. Back. At the rear side of the Solaris several pairs of inputs allow you to connect different audio sources that have typical output voltages: CD player, cassette player, tuner, mini disc player. The Solaris can also be used as a preamp. It has two gold-plated XLR female connectors on the left, and the signal comes from the OTL stages. You have 4 sets of RCA inputs and 2 sets of XLR inputs. For input 1 and 2 you use either the RCA input or the XLR input. Not both together. Input 3 and 4 are regular ones, while input 5 is set specifically for the phono input. As you can see, the Solaris also has speaker connectors on the right side of the amp. Price. The Solaris' Audiovalve's reference headphone amplifier, and it doesn't come cheap. Depending on the seller, the price varies between $4,990 and €4,600. The optional integrated DAC goes for about $1,000. In return for all that money you get a powerful, robust and cool-looking amplifier that isn't only built like a top-of-the-line amp, but sounds like one as well. Sound. From the first time I installed the Solaris in my living room setup, the amplifier impressed. It in fact is so good that it easily made it to my standard setup, you know, the gear that always stays in place. The Solaris has a black background and it's perfectly silent no matter what headphones I tried it with. With its specific settings for low and high impedance headphones, it performs perfectly with all your headphones. Several tube and/or hybrid amplifiers have this typical hum, but the Solaris is the quietest of amps at all times. Solaris is linear and it doesn't put bass, mids or treble up front. Its sound is balanced with great left, right balance and excellent three-dimensionality. The positioning of the instruments is spot on. Soundstage-wise, the Solaris excels both in width and depth. You get great extension on both ends, with great layering. Spaciousness and separation are exactly right for my ears. The Solaris tonality is to the warmer and smoother side of neutral, but for a tube amp the Solaris is actually fairly to the neutral side. The music is delivered in a smooth and oh so lovely musical way. Another thing I really love about the Solaris are the dynamics and speed with which it delivers your music. The Solaris has great prat. On top of all this, you from bass to treble get a very high resolution. The level of detail just is impressive. A high level of detail doesn't mean this amplifier is analytical, cause it is not. Think musicality over pure analytics, but always with great clarity. If female vocals are your thing, they are for me, then you will love this amp, but in general the Solaris voices are exceptionally good, natural and romantic. The Solaris does everything so effortless, it is a pure pleasure to listen to. It's musical, rich, extended, easy on the ear and completely non-fatiguing. What's not to like? Bass goes deep and shows great layering. The level of bass detail is high and the presentation is always tight. Body-wise, bass is just right for me, that means it's a little over neutral but not too much. You get great punch and impact in combination with detail and depth. It's yum. The mid part flows perfectly from the bass and it's just as rich. The mids have good layering and the right amount of space to let the richness come fully out. It's also a bit on the warmer side, and I said the voiced are to die for. Treble is smooth and also slightly warmer. Treble is extended, dynamic and precise, but it is softer on the ears. Treble won't sound harsh or sibilant, but it's really easygoing. As you've noticed, it is extremely hard for me to say something bad about this amplifier, but if there's anything I'd give a little push, it would be a little more aggressive treble. That's just me. However, in treble as it is very good to say the least, it's just soft and smooth and perfectly in line with the rest of the sound. Headphones. The Headphonia HE1000 V2 is one of my favorite orthodynamic high-end headphones, and for me it seems as if the Solaris was made for it. In single-ended mode you get great bass, really rich mids and soft romantic treble, all of it with an incredible precision. In balanced mode, the HE1000 V2 sounds even wider and spacious, but it's a little lighter in body. Treble is a bit more how I like in balanced mode, but both SE as well as balanced mode with this headphone are impressive. A great match. The Focal Utopia is an incredible dynamic headphone, and from the Solaris it in single-ended mode sounds spot on, rich, exceptionally layered and precise. The Solaris and Utopia combination is excellent three-dimensional wise, your music is spacious and you can pinpoint each and every position. The only thing I like a little less is the bass, as it for some reason sounds a bit looser. The voices are more up front, but that's the typical Utopia presentation, not the amps. In balanced mode bass is more under control and you get an even better balanced sound from bottom to top. From Sennheiser's HD800, using the OTL output setting, you get a detailed HD800 with a touch of soft and smoothness. Bass is great, and of course the width and depth of the HD800 are legendary. For a lot of people the HD800 is a little harsh in the treble region, but with the Solaris that for me is absolutely not audible. The difference in balanced mode with the HD800 is not as evident as with the other headphones used in this review. The Klipsch Heritage HP3 we reviewed a few weeks ago, sound very full-bodied, smooth and musical. Bass might be a bit big for some people though, especially as it's just a bit looser. The mids are very rich, smooth and warm, and treble is soft and very forgiving. I don't have a balanced HP3 cable to test it in balanced mode though. After hearing how great the Headphonia HE1000 sounded from the Solaris, I expected a lot the orthodynamic Kennerton Odin, but to me the magic in single-ended mode just wasn't there as much. Sure, you get great detail and a natural presentation with great vocals, but the depth, spaciousness and especially bass presence is a bit missing for me. In balanced mode you do get more body and bass and mids, and the Odin sounds a whole lot better, but it still isn't the best match to my ears. As the Odin and Odds LCD2 in many ways are comparable to me, I was pleasantly surprised to hear that the LCD2 sounds excellent from the Solaris. Yes, it's somewhat softer, but it's musical, punchy, more spacious, and the LCD2 has bigger body. In balanced mode the LCD2 it loses a bit of the body in bass and mids, and I as a result prefer it in single-ended mode. As you can see, I don't own any Stax headphones to try the Solaris with, but feel free to send me your 009. End words. Wah, wah, wah. This amplifier impressed me in all possible ways. Sure, you might not love the way it looks, but that's personal. The Audiovalve Solaris doesn't come cheap, but in return you get a reference headphone amp, with a large number of in- and outputs that can handle low impedance, high impedance and even electrostat headphones all in one. If that's not enough for you, then there's also the perfect build quality, the integrated phono module, and the fact that you can use it as a speaker amp. The Audiovalve Solaris is a prefect-toggle do-it-all amplifier, and yes, I love it.